Welcome to Financial Investing Radio, where you'll learn the secrets for consistent, high-probability returns in the financial markets for additional income to change your life. Grant creates consistent, high-probability trading systems for the financial markets and has applied them over the past 5 years. He's only recently started sharing these tried and true market secrets. As a gift to listeners, Grant is offering his high-probability indicators for free. Go to financialinvestingradio.com and download yours today. Now, here's your host and trading veteran, Grant Larson.
Hey everybody, welcome to the first episode of Financial Investing Radio. So thank you for joining. I've started this podcast with the intent to share my lessons learned with investing and trading. For me, it's more about building community and collaboration. Now, these podcasts are going to be a combination of interviews as well as personal experiences. Now, if you have a lesson learned or a useful tip to share from your investing journey, then reach out to me at grant@financialinvestingsecrets.com. That's grant@financialinvestingsecrets.com. Now, investing and trading for me has been a bit like some of our experiences we had raising our family in Colorado. We would ski with our children a lot, and in one particular case, our son, one of our younger sons, I was skiing with three of our sons at the time, and at that time the youngest son, as we'd ski down, he took off really fast down the mountain. So I sped up to him and asked him to stop and said, "Hey, now Jared, skiing is a lot more fun if you stay in control." He goes, "Thanks, Dad." So we start skiing again, and he takes off again like a bullet. And I speed up, catch up to him. Hey, Jared, just a minute. Skiing is a lot more fun if we stay in control. Yeah, okay, Dad, yep, And the third time, off he goes, and before I could catch up with him, I look down ahead, and I just, I see this ball of snow. Right, skis everywhere, poles flying, and so I ski up to him and I say, "Hey, Jared," and he goes, I know, Dad. It's a lot more fun, if you stay in control." And so, investing has certainly got those characteristics to it. It's a lot more fun if we stay in control, and that mantra has influenced my investing and trading strategies, which is to look for consistent returns, which of course we all want, but also to look for the high probability opportunities. And so what got me started here? I wanted to spend this first podcast giving a little backstory as to how I got involved in this. Now my background is in software, and I've done that for a lot of years. I was working at home one day, and one of my sons, not the skiing one, but another one, came in and invited me to attend a trading seminar. There's a 3-day seminar taking place, and I'd always thought that the folks in that business were selling snake oil, right? It was something to be watching out for, and there's some truth to that, no doubt. But I was definitely not going to go. And so he takes off. He spends the first day at it, and he comes back that evening. It's like, "Dad, you really got to check into this, or just give me your second and third day on this with me, Dad, and just take a look." So, eventually I went for the second and third day, and under a bit of duress, I admit. I was thinking, "Oh, okay, I'm being a good father, right? I'm supporting my son." So we get there, and I listen skeptically to the presenter, right? But by the end of the second day, I realized that if I could create trades with probabilities in my favor, then the math would work out. And so this appealed to the logic part of my nature. So I ended up buying some training on trading, and at that time I was focused on learning options. Now, later I discovered that the option training encouraged the buying of calls and puts at strikes, which ultimately decreased my probabilities. And if you've done work with options, you understand that if you're going to trade them directionally, you need to make sure you get them just right, because even if you get the right direction, sometimes decay will still take away your profit. So I took some initial losses in options with some of the training that I got. So in time, I learned about option decay. I didn't know about it at the time, and about the value of selling options. So I pursued some additional training focused on option time decay. And using that approach, my probabilities improved a lot, and it began to give me some cash flow. But it was not enough to make a big income. So I was happy with the income, but I wasn't yet satisfied. So I'd heard about futures and decided I would take a course on that and look into it. And after that course, I was hooked. Now, it turned into a love-hate relationship. I loved the leverage when it was in my favor, and I hated it when it was not in my favor. So what made matters worse was some of the training that I had received gave me some bad guidance on when to trade the futures market. And so that, the training talked about taking advantage of volatility at key announcement times. I mean, wow, don't do that. Well, I did it, and took a couple significant losses, and that just added to my pain. And I wondered if I was ever going to see a positive return on my investments in trading. So from there, I began to study order flow, and I worked with some professional traders using that style. But I was still not seeing the results. I would see intermittent, it would work intermittently, but I didn't get the consistent. So I felt determined, but I was a little discouraged at that point. So I took more courses, and in that particular case, it was on the E-mini futures, and I learned about the general cycle of the market and some of the key patterns there. So I started trading with another professional who excelled at applying these market cycles and patterns. But the challenge was that my smaller account size couldn't handle the big stop losses when the general market pattern didn't play out on any given day. So create these really big stop losses to get lots of windows. You're hoping and counting on the fact that a pattern is going to work out. If it does, then you do well. But if not, it's taking some decent losses on it. And then occasionally I'd get a win. So I kept wondering, all right, what can I do? I needed to see smaller increments of success. I wanted to take profits when I could, and while not relying on some pattern, but still be aware of what the market cycles were, but still trade the actual price actions, right? That was the key. I wanted to build on a succession of small wins with high probability that was based on price action. But still, again, like I said, to be aware of the general market cycles and the patterns for context. So it hit me. One of the first secrets I discovered as a self-driven investor, that if I could combine the high probability option thinking with futures. In other words, when you look at the option chain, right, and you've got probabilities of being in the money and out of the money and so forth. If you could look at that and say, wait a minute, if I could apply that style of thinking with futures, I could have a trading investment strategy that would bring cash flow and reasonable gains. In other words, I could use a combination of what options do best in terms of, as far as I'm concerned, do great with decay and time decay and selling premiums and getting the value from that, while using some of those techniques, but as it relates to futures, looking for what it means to be high probability on futures and to get the gains from that. So I found a way to combine some small and simple things to bring about high probability gains in the futures market as well. And I couldn't believe it. After all the searching and trying to find a solution, what it turns out is that the solution was, of course, overly simple, not overly complex. So that's the good news. So what I've learned in the last 5 years on this journey is that price action matters. There's no surprise there, and that's what you trade. But you do it with a set of principles and with a set of overarching patterns, and not just the patterns themselves. But what I wanted to share with you is the experiences that I've had after all of my trading and attending courses and trading rooms and indicators and systems and lectures and professional guidance and so on. So it comes down to a few simple ideas that need to be pulled together, in the right way. And so when I started the journey on this, I was expecting greater results sooner, and perhaps you felt that way as well. So early on, I was looking, for the home run hits, right, with huge returns. And I hate to admit it, but that was probably the greed part of my nature. But over time, I refined my objective to look for a balance of high probability cash flow and high probability gains, mixing those together and taking base hits and consistent hits and letting those build on top and compound on top of each other. So I want to share with you my secrets to high probability returns. I'll talk a lot about the E-mini futures, but we'll broaden that conversation to be stocks and other instruments as well. So this can apply to other markets also. So I hope that you join me in the next episode where we'll continue the journey. And I'll be bringing in interviews, as I said. We'll be talking with other people and hopefully you as well. So again, reach out to me. Look forward to getting to know you. And thank you for joining me in this very first episode of Financial Investing Radio. My name is Grant Larson, and trade safe.
Thank you for joining Grant on Financial Investing Radio. Remember to subscribe and leave feedback. Don't forget to download your free high probability indicators before your next trade. Visit financialinvestingradio.com now.